Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Hamilton, pronouns her, she, like the chocolate bar, and I am the Director of Community Partnerships for Girls for Gender Equity. In March of 2020, with the COVID-19 pandemic impacting New York City, GGE held a call for the youth service providers community. And by youth service providers, I mean anybody who worked in service of young people, teachers, social workers, after-school program providers, advocates, all of us. At this time, when no one knew what to do, only that everything was about to change, hundreds of youth service providers attended that call to seek answers and resources. It was obvious from that first call that we'd need more. So we decided to meet monthly to check in with folks and see how people were doing. We also launched a dashboard to help people in between calls to provide a space for conversation and education and resource sharing. We talked about things about technology and counseling and social work support for young people, and we shared our skills there. The first 3 months were really hectic. It was still the school year, and people were trying to figure out ways to provide real-time and necessary services that they were also contractually obligated to perform despite the pandemic. And we did that. And then we broke for summer. And YSP Group was trying to find a way to engage with young people when school was not in session. And at that same time, local government was proposing drastically reducing summer services for young people, everything from recreational programs to jobs. This was a time when families were struggling and people were sick, and adults and children both needed those opportunities as integral parts of their household income. So GGE organized the Youth Service Providers Group to make calls to advocate for the support of summer youth programs. We were also holding conversations focused on supporting young people in every aspect of their lives, as our roles had shifted dramatically. We were providing lifelines for many families at that time, and even the city was looking to us. And we were more than just after-school people. We were critical connective tissue between youth needs and government. We were answering questions like, who wasn't showing up to school? Who didn't have technology? Who needed a computer or a hotspot? And our young people were calling us that their parents or their family members were sick, so how do we get groceries? Our staff was literally delivering groceries for young people during this peak time of crisis. We were providing mutual aid and connecting others to mutual aid. We were basically a one-stop shop hub for all things youth-related at the time. We were also showing up for New York City youth and their families from an advocacy perspective. We wrote a letter to the Chancellor demanding the types of support that young people needed upon their return to school. This letter was signed by over 400 individuals and 50 organizations throughout New York City. And it was written in collaboration across many of the organizations represented in our monthly call. We knew we needed to step up for youth and for young people and their families, and to hold the city accountable to the ways in which it was going to support them in the programs they desperately needed at that time. And as we began to get the hang of online programming, we shifted to providing space for the providers. A community building space where we told stories and shared personal resources, discussed self-care, and also held a resource fair within our community to uplift the great work that was happening within our group. The questions expanded from, what do we need to make this work for our young people, to how can we actually support each other? Now, at this neither post-racial nor post-COVID stage, we are coming to realize that we are tired and burned out. The most obvious need is that people who care for young people need a space to care for themselves. GGE's YSP Group has always been a space for political education, advocacy, and resource sharing. And now we are really intentionally focusing also on centering the needs of the providers who center young people. We have heard from so many of our partners about how this has been a truly critical community during an unprecedented time. The Youth Service Providers Group is responsive. We grow and we shift as the community does, and we meet the needs in real time. We continue to ask what is needed, and we do our best to provide.